Okay. I'm excited to have Matt Mills on the show today. Matt is the owner of Lightning Fitness here in South Windsor, Connecticut. Before we get started, I'll share a little bit about him. I think it's fair to say that Matt lives and breathes strength and fitness, not just physically, but in mindset and mission. As a strength and conditioning specialist, ASC Pro Strongman, bodybuilding competitor, and educator, he's all about pushing limits and helping others do the same. In this episode, we dive into what it takes to build real strength as an athlete and as the owner of the strongest gym in New England. And I could be a little biased because it is absolutely my favorite gym. So, welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you're here today.
Yeah, thank you. That was quite the introduction. Appreciate you having me.
One of the things that I'm so excited to talk to you about, which is different than many of the other guests that I've had, is that you actually have, like, as a small business owner, you have a brick and mortar space. Mm-hmm. And in today's world where so many entrepreneurs run service-based or digital businesses, I think having a storefront per se just adds a whole different layer of complexity and opportunity, but also complexity.
Yeah, I did some online training a while back, and while I owned the gym, which got a little bit overwhelming for me. So now I strictly just run the gym. I don't train anyone anymore. But I also like being a little hidden, like where we are. We're not like we have storefront space, but we're not right on a main road where it's obvious where we are. I like being a little hidden like that, just because the style of our gym, the privacy of our gym, so it keeps crowds out, which a lot of my members like, instead of people coming by all the time. I like to say that the right people tend to find us.
Yeah. Well, you started in a much smaller location.
Much. So I actually wish I had pictures. Yeah, I wish I had pictures of our, because most people don't know our very first spot. It was in Vernon. It was, so just to give an idea, our gym now is 27,000 square feet. Very, very big. My first location was 650 square feet.
Oh,
so
wow.
That was kind of like an office space, really very small. And all we had was a very crappy squat rack, some dumbbells, and some med balls. That's how I started. And I only did one-on-one training. So back then I strictly did one-on-one training. So we've come quite a long way since then, but it's been 19 years too.
That's still a lot of growth and not a ton of time.
Yeah. A lot of people know who we are now because we've gotten so much bigger and we're on the map now, but that people don't realize how far we've actually come. I didn't just open a giant gym and stuff it with equipment. To me, it was a very slow process getting to where we are now. We've only been in our spot now for just over 4 years. And even the spot before we had was only 12,000 square feet. So we went from 650 to 800 to 2,500 to 7,000 to 12,000 and now 27,000.
Wow.
So we've moved now 5 times. And I really hope this is our final location.
Do you know, like, in comparison to like maybe other gyms or commercial gyms, like what the size differences are, or do you kind of not pay attention to any of that?
I don't know. The ones around here, I know we're bigger than size wise, but I don't know exact numbers. And that's only from what people have told me. I have never been to Edge or Big Sky. I think those are the only really 2 ones around us. Yep. I've never been there, but I'm from what I'm told, we have more square footage, which is kind of wild to me because I know that they have over 15,000 members. And just to give you an idea, we have less than 1,000 members. So less than a fraction of what they have with more space. So I couldn't imagine the crowds at those gyms, which is one reason why a lot of people come to our gym, to get away from those crowds, to have a private gym without they can train how they want, not have to wait for anything. So that's a huge one for us to get more people in the gym, and it's a big selling point for us too.
Yeah, because I mean, even when I will pull in and like the parking lot looks full, you walk in and there's still so much space. You never feel like you're on top of somebody else.
Yeah, that was when we added the back area. I'm not sure I can't remember when you first started, but when we had the back area, well, we didn't have the back area. When we first moved in, we had 2 sections, the machine area and the freeway area. The very back area we didn't have yet. We've only had that, I believe, maybe 3 years, 2.5, 3 years. So we had 16,000 at first, and then we took over that back area because no one else wanted to be next to us, of course, right? We're making all that noise, loud music. No one would ever take that spot, so it worked out pretty well for us. But Yeah, it's you come in and there's times where you're like, oh man, gym's packed, but then you walk in, it's because everyone's so spaced out because it was such a big gym that when we had MMA classes going on too, even then you see all these people in the back, but everyone has so much space and equipment to use that you never have to wait for anything. And I know
Yeah.
people who pull in who say, "Oh, I almost left the gym because I saw the parking lot packed." It's like you don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you
There's
really
so much.
don't. Yeah. Well, and I just find too that like the people that go there, they're just they're just different than commercial gyms.
Yeah.
You don't have kind of the same attitude, or there's so many of the same pieces of equipment. You're not waiting. And if you do wait for your favorite one, it's usually a very short
Mhm.
time period.
Well,
But
it's also in the rules too. Like, let's say if you want to work in with somebody, when people are asking me how many sets you have left, I always say, "Hey, come work in with me. I don't
yeah,
care if I'm doing 300 pounds and they can only do 100 pounds. I'll change the weights. I'm happy to work with anybody." So that's another nice thing that but people like coming there to get away from the commercial gyms where people will hang out on a piece of equipment on their phone and taking up space. And I hate to say this, but there are people who go to commercial gyms that do go there to socialize. I've heard people tell me that.
true. Yeah,
I don't understand that, but I mean, hey, go all you. That's what you want to do. Go for it. But people who come to our gym don't do that, and
yeah,
let people appreciate coming to the gym where they don't have to wait for people who are just taking up space. Not that we don't socialize because we absolutely do, but it's not the prime reason we're there.
yeah, for sure. Well, what first got you into strength training, then competitive strongman, and now bodybuilding?
So I always, the first thing I did when I got my license was drive to the local gym and get a membership. So I always was into lifting from day one. And if you see the gym, you see the comic book stuff all over the gym. So I read comic books, watched cartoons like that, and all the superheroes were always jacked. And I just wanted to look like that, right? And I wanted to be strong like that. So that's what my driving force was in the beginning. So I had a little basement gym that my parents got me, just some dumbbells and a bench, and I always lifted. And then, like I said, as soon as I got my license, bang, I went right to the gym. And that was my most important thing to me was getting to the gym and doing that. So that was just in me. I always loved it. And since that I got my membership, I really never missed a beat in my training unless I was
Mhm.
sick or there was an emergency. It was just a top priority in my life. Getting into competing, I actually did powerlifting first. I
Okay.
was geez, I was in my mid-20s just because back then it wasn't really around like it is now. There were some strongman shows, there were some powerlifting meets, but you didn't really see them everywhere. And maybe because social media wasn't as prevalent back then. There wasn't Instagram, there was Facebook, but people didn't really post much about those things. So I never saw anyone who competed. If I saw it online, I probably would have got it in sooner. If it was like today, like we have competitions at our gym a couple times a year. But
Mhm.
back then, I never saw anything. So I always read Elite FTS, and I write for them now. So EliteFTS.com. I read an article about why you should do a powerlifting meet, and I was like, oh, this sounds really fun. And I was also thinking about maybe doing bodybuilding, but I was like, well, getting on stage and posing just really isn't for me right now. So I wanted to lift. I just like lifting heavy. I wanted to look like a bodybuilder, but I wanted to be strong too. So I read the article about why you should compete, and they had a website. It's not around anymore. The one that has it now is openpowerlifting.com. There's one back then, I can't remember the name, but it said how to get into powerlifting. It had a website that listed the powerlifting meets. And I was like, oh, perfect. So I clicked on it right away. I go to Connecticut. The first one I saw that was in Connecticut, it was at a gym called Metal Health, and I think it was Waterbury or Wallingford. It's not around anymore. But they had one there, and I think it was like 10 weeks out, and I signed up for it right away. Didn't even think about it. I just was like, boom, I'm doing this. And that's what got me into it. I did my first
Um,
meet, had a blast. I made a lot of mistakes. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have anyone to coach me. I didn't train with anybody because back at my gym, it wasn't like it is now. It was just I was just doing personal training. So very, very different environment. I mean, this was 17 years ago. So I had no clue what I was doing. I just read the rule book and then I just got the training and I did it. And on my second powerlifting meet, I was talking to someone there, and I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to try strongman because I only saw it on TV. I just saw World's Strongest Man like everyone else does." And I asked him about it. I was like, "Yeah, I'd love to, but I don't know where it is." And he goes, "Oh, there's a guy in Connecticut who holds strongman shows." And I was like, "Who is he? I need his contact info." So he gave me his number. I called him. He was selling Atlas stones. I went to his house, bought Atlas stones, and then he showed me how to do everything, how to lift a log and Atlas stones. His name was Joe Mugavero. and he had a strongman show in a few weeks, and I was like, I'm in. And I had no idea what I was doing at all. I didn't know how to lift a stone, nothing. He showed me everything. And even then, going into the show at my gym at the time, we really had no strongman equipment. I think I had a one axle, a log, and some stones. I did not have a yoke or farmers, nothing. And I got into the strongman show, and I just was like, well, I'll figure it out. And people there were super helpful, and it was a lot of fun. And I did okay, but I was hooked. That strongman was, to me, was so much more fun than powerlifting. I did powerlifting periodically, but strongman was my
Mhm.
main thing where I really fell in love. And it was right when I did my first strongman show, I was like, oh, when's the next one? And as I would do these shows, I kept finding people who could make me equipment because, again, back then there wasn't anyone like there is now making. You can get a log, you can buy everything you want online. Where back then you really couldn't. I bought a log from a welder out of Kentucky. I think I found him on Craigslist. And then the other stuff I had a welder make. I was like, hey, this is what we're doing. Can you make this? And I had a welder make it. So little by little, I started collecting all the equipment so we could compete, so I could compete in strongman. And as I did that, I started using it with my clients who loved it. They had a lot of fun rather than just sticking with basic barbells and dumbbells and machines, which is great, but they had a lot more fun using strongman implements. So that's kind of how the gym grew into what it is today, because what we started with just training, 10 years ago, I never thought the gym would be what it is now, because now we're just a regular gym. And I have trainers here that train people and all that. But my whole thing was always personal training, group training. I never thought I would have a regular membership gym. So it's kind of wild where we've come from, where I never even had the intention of doing that. So it just
Yeah.
morphed into it.
I love it though. I mean, there's such a strong sense of community, especially in the strongman area. I
That's
mean,
what that is what drew me in, because the first show I wasn't sure how people would be, because powerlifting was very serious. Everyone's very serious about everything, and it's not to me it's not as fun, because no one's encouraging anybody. People cheer for you in powerlifting, but back when people were warming up, everyone's kind of, it's my rack, this is this, blah blah.
yeah,
Not everybody, of course, but I've done a lot of meets where it's a much serious thing,
yeah,
where strongman is like a big party.
yeah,
You're cheering for everybody, you're helping everybody. People are doing shots sometimes in between events, like everyone's just having a good time.
yeah. I love watching it and just getting to know all of the men and women who do it is really, to me, one of the things that I love about Lightning Fitness is you don't have to be this big athlete to go there. You are welcome there, and well, at least for me, like I always feel comfortable there.
A lot of
Um,
people think you do, unfortunately, because we were built on strength training, right? That's how we started. But even then, I mean, I had always trained people all ages, 60s, 70s, everyone. But because people see some of the freaks we have and the weights they move, they think they have to be a competitor as well, and they
yeah,
certainly do not.
yeah,
I love it. I had someone. She was geez, late 70s, and she would come to the gym and she'd love watching the guys deadlift 800 pounds. She'd be in awe of it, not intimidated one bit. She'd be right next to him doing her little kettlebell workout with 8 pound kettlebells, loving it. And then other people are like think they have to be like that, but those guys, you already know this. Those people who are that strong and that big are also the nicest people,
they
and
are.
they're the ones that'll be the first people to help you. This was
Yep,
way back at my last location. There's a guy in his 50s. He really wanted to bench 225, and he was training for it, really working up to it. And two of the other pro strongmen who both could deadlift like 900 pounds, bench 500 pounds, were helping him. And the guy benched 225, and these two were going nuts for him, cheering, screaming. And the guy who did it was in awe of this. He was like, I can't believe these guys are so strong and they're still cheering for me. It's like, it's not about how much you can lift. It's
yep.
about how hard you're working and reaching your goals. And everyone can agree on that. No one
Hmm.
cares how much you're lifting. No one's judging you based on that.
Yeah. And if they are, they need to be doing something else.
Yeah, the people that they don't come to my gym. I mean, listen, I've kicked out quite a few people from my gym for
Yep.
acting ridiculous. I just don't tolerate that. But if you want to keep to yourself and not talk to anybody and headphones on, cool, you can do that too.
Yeah. Well, how do you balance being an athlete and a gym owner? Because I know that you have posted sometimes that, oh my God, I have to go to another gym to train sometimes because It's
Yeah, that's
difficult.
a constant problem, unfortunately. People think I have an unlimited amount of time to train, and I don't. There's things I have to do. So I've had workouts last almost 4 hours that should have taken 90 minutes because I'm constantly distracted. That is
Yeah.
something I still struggle with to this day because I don't want to be mean to any. I want to help everybody. But I'm on the floor 8 hours a day to help everybody when I'm
Yeah.
doing everything else in my office. I mean, talk to me, ask me questions then. But people still will be in the middle of a set and want to have a 10-minute conversation with me about whatever. I mean, you need a spot or something you want to ask me to help you with the lift. I'm all for it. But it's when people want to have like normal conversations where I'm like, I got to train people. Like, I don't have all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I already have a good answer to that because for every gym owner I know, we all deal with the same thing. So it's either that or I just be an asshole to people, which I
Yeah.
just don't want to do. People are coming to me because they want help or they want to talk to me, and I feel horrible giving someone an attitude because hey, I'm trying to work out right now, leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like I would just feel terrible doing that.
I understand that. Well, so where did the inspiration for Lightning Fitness come from? I mean, how do you go from like this concept of a 24-hour members only gym into a space where you're having to like deal with banks and insurance and accountants
Yeah.
and all of these harder hurdles that you have
Mhm.
to kind
Yeah.
of.
So, well, funny story actually. So, I wasn't my idea to start the gym. I was a trainer at LA Fitness, and I was getting my master's degree from UConn. My goal was to be a strength coach for college athletes, and then hopefully, I would like one day be a work in the pros as a strength coach. And I was working with the strength coaches at UConn, and one thing I noticed was a lot of them really weren't that happy. They were very overworked. And then I remember I never forget, one girl told me, she goes, yeah, we have like less than an hour a day to actually work out ourselves. We're the teams all the time traveling, this and that a lot of times they don't have time to even work out at all. And I was like, okay, so they're working like 16-hour days sometimes. They're not getting paid much. They're not sleeping much. And they don't have much time to train. I was like, whew. I was like, I love training people. I love helping people, but like also I love to train. If I can't
Yeah.
train, I'm a moody person. I need my hour or two, a couple times a week to lift. Like if I can't get that in, no way, count me out. So after talking to a few of them about that, my manager at LA Fitness came to me and was like, hey, we should start our own personal training studio. And I was like, I don't know. That's a lot of work. It's risky because I had a full schedule at LA Fitness. So I'd pack with clients. He goes, hey, we can do this. We can start. Your clients will follow over. I was like, maybe. So he talked me into it. Without him, I actually would never have started it. So we started it. That's where we started in the 650 square foot place in Vernon, very small. And we're also on the second floor above an insurance company. So we're making all this noise, slamming weights. They're complaining the whole time. We were only there for a year, but we survived the first year. But yeah, I had a partner at that time. He was a good guy, but we eventually split, and then I had my own thing. But that's where it came from. Was without him, I say I would not own the gym today, which is funny to say because I couldn't imagine doing anything else right now.
Yeah.
So it's funny how things work out.
Did he stay in the industry?
No, he's actually a realtor now. So he opened his own gym. So we had my studio. We got a little bit bigger as we got busier. He went and opened a gym in Madison. That's where he was from. So, but his gym wasn't doing that well. He was basically like covering his own costs, where my gym was covering what was paying the bills basically. So after some time, I was like, hey, you got your gym, I got my gym. There's no point in us being partners anymore. So we split. He closed down shortly after. Yeah, I believe he's a realtor now. But yeah, good guy. No complaints about him. I did have a partner after him who was a nightmare. So one thing I always say to people who are, I mean, I can only speak for gyms. I'm sure a lot of what I say applies to other businesses, but I only know the gym business. And when people come to me for advice, one thing I always say to them is like, don't have a partner. It
Mm.
is just not worth it.
Yeah, that's good.
Like it's like like I said, even my first partner, he was a great guy. It still didn't work out. We still butted heads on things. And the reason the gym is where it is today, because I took it where I wanted to go. And the whole time when I wanted this more of a serious gym, both partners fought me on it. They want to be friendly, like a commercial gym. Everyone can go and not have a special niche. Like and I feel that's wrong. Like commercial wise, we can't compete with a commercial gym, right? Like I don't have the amenities. I'm not going to have daycare, all those things. Like we're not trying to be like that. If you want to succeed, how can you stand out? We
Mhm.
stand out because of the equipment we have, the people we have, the environment, all those things. And we're known as that serious hardcore gym in the area. That's how we've been successful. So it wasn't until I was like, you know what, I'm not listening to anyone else. I'm doing what I want. That's when the gym grew and grew and grew.
How did you how did you decide you wanted to have a 24-hour gym, in a way, to monitor, like, who's coming and going, like, making sure that only members
Oh,
came
there's no
in?
issues there. so so really it was just listening. So one piece of advice I can give to anyone who wants to, well, again, open a gym is, or any business really, is listen to your loyal members. There's people that I've had in my gym for a long, long time that are also business owners that are successful people that I've always listened to and taken their advice. So we were, we always had regular hours, but I was there all the time. So I'd open the gym, I'd close the gym. I was there all the time, early morning, late night. It was rough. So we put a pin code in the door and had it locked at all times, and members would scan in. And then I don't remember who said it to me, but a member of the gym was like, "Hey, you ever think about being 24 hours?" I'm like, I don't know. It's a lot to worry about in the night and this and that. And I eventually was like, let's see how it goes. I already had cameras in place. I already had cameras all over the gym to see everything. And the door was always locked. So I was like, hey, why not? I know other gyms who are 24 hours, commercial gyms like Anytime Fitness are like that, where it's like they have specific hours where the doors are open. And then, till the whole night, you can just scan in, the door locks and all that. So I was like, let's see how this goes. And one of the best things we've ever done. And that was an idea of a member that I listened to. But it's brought in so many people, and there's been problems. But again, I have a camera outside, a camera inside the whole gym, and all that's ever happened, nothing serious. All that's ever happened is someone will try sneaking someone in, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch you. I
Yeah.
see.
Yeah.
I see everyone scan in. I see them enter, and everything. Not that it happens a lot. It's very rare. And I have a no tolerance policy. You do that, you're out of the gym.
Yep.
But I kicked out a few people for doing that, which it's just bound to happen.
Well, and just so that, the listeners know, you go through all of these rules when people come in to become a member. So
Yep.
your
Yeah,
your
so
rules
yeah,
are
there's
very specific.
I think there's 22 rules or something that when you fill out the form online, it says please read carefully, and it's in big bold letters and all of them. People still skip over it, but when they sign up, myself or Dylan verbally go over them. And I say, did you read these? If you didn't, read them now. And I always repeat a couple important ones. And one of them is rule number 1: don't let anyone in with you, no matter what they say. And so everyone knows it. So it's like when I find people $50 for leaving their weights out. And I've had people cancel their memberships and complain. And I'm like, you read this, you signed it. I verbally tell you this is going to happen. So don't be mad at me.
Yeah.
Like you knew this was coming.
Well, I know that you, had mentioned about not having a partner, but I will just have to give a shout out because you do have a silent behind the scenes partner
Yes, yes.
who plays an integral part
Mhm.
of the gym.
Yep.
Probably doesn't get talked about enough, but you want to give her a little shout out.
Oh yeah, my wife's been a huge, very, very, very big support for me. Because I was broke. Let me tell you, like that's one thing when you first start a small business, man. I mean, if you can make money right away, good for you. But it took a long time for me to get this gym to where it is, and luckily my wife always had a good job, and I was struggling for a long time. So without her, I don't know where I'd be with this.
Yeah. I mean, that's so important. I think people have this preconceived idea that, oh, I'm going to start my own business and, you're just going to be rolling in the money. And people might think that you make a lot of money, and I have no idea if you do or don't, but I don't think that people really understand the operating expenses that go
Yeah.
into,
Well,
um
everyone who has a small business owner, they always think that the money they're spending is going right in their pockets.
yeah,
Like, it's, so everyone thinks, oh, you own a small business. Oh, you guys make so much money. It's like, maybe some do, but I said for myself, oh man, I can't. It was a long, long uphill battle to get where I am. But it's like you just said, there's your rent, electricity, geez, water, insurance. Man, insurance is killer. Like it's why we don't have MMA anymore. We had the MMA classes, which not many people did, but really why we got rid of it because insurance. So obviously you don't have to have insurance, but you're screwed if you don't if you get sued. But over half of our insurance was for MMA. So I'm
Wow.
paying just to give you an idea, it was $11,000 a year just for MMA, and I'm only having 10, 11 people do the classes. It just doesn't make any sense to have because I have to pay insurance as the whole gym's going to do MMA, not just 10 or 11 people. So
Yeah.
that's a huge one. Yeah, insurance is a very, very big one and a very important one because I have been sued before a long time ago. And if I didn't have insurance back then, I'd be out of business.
Well, how do you I'm asking this for my own, like me personally, because I think that, and I don't know if it's sometimes because of being a woman in business, but, and I do think that there are differences between how men and women kind of approach
Mhm.
pricing. Um, and it's one of the things that every time I go to proposal with something, I'm like, oh, am I charging the right amount? Is it going to be too much? How how do you set a price that you realize that it's going to cover your expenses? Um, you'll be able to turn a little bit of a profit and be able to continue the growth. So how do you come up with a number that like
Mhm.
works?
So when I went to an open gym, I looked at what other gyms would charge, like what commercial gyms would charge. And I wasn't going to do $10 a month like Planet Fitness, obviously, because we were like that specialty type gym. So we needed to be a little bit more expensive to cover everything. So I think my first day, we were $50 a month. And then as we've grown, because I mean, as you know, I've added so much, I've upped the price to what it is now at 75. But yeah, you need to look at how many members you have. You need to look at your demographics too, because depending on what area you're in, like a gym like ours may not have survived somewhere else. Like let's say if there's another powerlifting strongman gym, which there really isn't many of them, but let's say I opened up next to one of those, and we may not have made it through those rough times.
Yeah.
So you really got to know what your competitors are and your locations. I mean, if you're an online business, then that's different. But if just for opening a gym, don't open a powerlifting strict gym next to another big powerlifting gym. It's going to be a very
Yeah.
hard competition for a gym that's already settled. Unless they're going downhill and there's bad business. You're like, oh, I can take their clients, So which nothing wrong with that either. That's just business, right? So
Yep.
you do need to be careful about that because I know gyms who have gone. Actually, a friend of mine, he had an open gym like mine. I think he was around 55, 60 a month. This is um Paul's gym in Orange. I was gonna say Revelation, not Revelation. Resilient gym in Orange. Anyway, he went from normal open gym to then charging minimal 125 a month. So a very big price increase. And he looked at it as most of his members were doing personal training, group training, and he didn't have that many doing the open gym. So for him, he's like, I can cut out the people that are just taking up space and really causing issues. He had a lot of younger kids, and not
Mhm.
that all the younger kids cause problems because they don't, but some can be a little bit dopey, right? So he upped his price a lot, and it made a lot of people mad, and a lot of people left his gym. But he didn't lose any profit whatsoever because the people who wanted to stay paid the extra amount, and they appreciated less people in the gym, and now they're all getting training. So basically, his minimal was he has trainers on the floor to help anyone when they want. So he offered a little bit more for a more price, and it worked
Mhm.
out pretty well for him so far. I went the opposite. My rate was 150 a month when I did my group training, and personal training was a little bit more. But then I started getting more and more people just for open gym, and I got too busy where I was like, you know what? I'm doing much better with the open gym. I should just get rid of my training and have other trainers do it. So I flipped things and went in that direction. And it's always a risk. You never know how it's going to go sometimes. It's a calculated risk. Luckily for
Yeah.
me and Paul, it worked out pretty well.
Well, it's interesting because so many gyms now are, really geared, CrossFit gyms, uh, gyms that, do, a lot of hit classes, like things like that. They don't have the open gym concept. It's you go in for a class, you pay for X amount of classes, and that's kind of the monthly, membership, I guess you would
Mhm.
call it, or whatever their, offering is. So it is harder to find, gyms that you can just go work out in when you
Yeah.
want.
There's so the spot we were supposed to take in our building was on the if you're facing our building to the right side, it was a CrossFit gym, CrossFit Brickyard. And we were going to take over their spot. And I met with the owners when they were going out of business, and we were just talking about how we do things. And one thing they regret was not having an open gym. And they had 16,000 square feet, which is a pretty big size, but they had 10 or 12 coaches coaching classes. And then they had to pay all these coaches for the time because they were just running the gym now. And then the gym was not being used the rest of the time. So they had like maybe 8 classes a day. It's only eight
Yeah,
hours.
yeah.
So the gym's not being used. They would train, maybe their friends would, but they wouldn't have like an open gym time. So, and that's a lot of people. We get a lot of CrossFitters actually that come to our gym because we have everything you need for CrossFit. We don't have classes for it, but you can do all your workouts and you can come anytime you want. A lot of people
Mhm.
just go to the CrossFit website and there's your WOD and follow it. So that was one thing they said they regret was not having an open gym because all those group class training, like they don't have that option. And that was again, when we started going more towards an open gym, I had set hours and I was getting more and more people who just wanted to come to the gym and not follow my training. They just wanted to use our unique equipment. That's where I was like, hey, I have a demand for this. Why not open it up to everybody? Let's see how it goes. But actually, it's funny because the first year I opened the gym up to everyone and did the open gym, I think we got like 4 signups the whole year. And
Oh
we
my god.
expanded and we spent like 40 grand on equipment on powerlifting. We got like next to nobody. And I was like, oh no, this was a bad idea. So it almost took us out. But luckily in time, it snowballed, but it took a while for that to happen. But yeah, at first, whew, so anyone out there who wants to start something like that, just be patient. Just know that it takes time.
That is great advice because I do think that we live in a time where everybody wants instant gratification.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah, that's not
well,
something you can rush. If you can, cool. If you open your business and it blows up and right away you're rolling in it, hey, you're doing something right. But
yeah.
anyone I know that's owned a gym, whenever someone asks me, you're saying about making money. Whenever I have someone who asks me, their first question to me is, "Well, how much money can you make owning a gym?" I always say, owning a gym's not for you. If that is your number one question to me, this is not for you. It's not because like you probably could do really well. There's people who own multiple gyms that I'm assuming make a lot of money, but I'm that took time to build, a lot of time, and I'm sure they're really broke for a long time. Or this is what a lot of them have. They have financial backing. So
Okay.
they'll have investors open a gym with them, but that's risky. Now you owe them money, right? You have to pay them back somehow with interest. So I'm lucky that I've only had two partners. I got rid of them both. One was a big legal trouble, but I got over it and it worked out for me really well. So now I have no investors. I have nothing like that. It's solely me. So that's why I always say to people when they first start things out, I'm like, it's really not an idea to get in over your head spending that kind of money. I got in over my head a few times by buying too much equipment, as I'm sure you can tell. I just keep packing the gym in, but it did work out really well in the long run of things. Back
Mhm.
when we didn't have as many members, I kept telling myself, well, if I buy this piece, if I buy that bar, it'll keep bringing people in. And it did. It just took a really long time. Now we're known. Everyone knows, oh, you go to Lightning, they have everything, right? Everyone says
Yes.
that. You can do whatever you want at Lightning. They have every piece of equipment there is. Strongman, powerlifting, bodybuilding, CrossFit, Olympic lifting, whatever, we got it. And it's a bit of my obsession and maybe more of a problem that I can't help myself. Someone asked for a piece of equipment, like, okay, right away, I'm searching for it.
I know. I think I said to you one time in the gym, it's a good thing you don't have kids.
Oh, I know. Right. Honestly, it's probably one of the reasons why I can do what I do. I have more money to invest back into the business. That's probably it. Yeah.
It's true.
Yep.
Well, so your early years, you're going through your partners or whatever. I mean, they're kind of failures that turned into your success.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I had a partner. The reason I had my second partner because I didn't think I could handle the business side of things. All I knew was train. I only knew how to train people. I knew nothing about how to run a business. Where my former partner, he had run multiple businesses, and he talked a big game about knowing what he didn't know what he was doing. He had a lot of failed businesses, and he didn't learn from them. I learned that after being with him
Yeah.
think we were partners for like 5 years. But that was one thing I had learned. I was like, okay, this actually isn't that hard. Like the business side of things is not that complicated. Have a good, you want to have a good a bookkeeper and an accountant. Obviously, if you have those things, it's actually pretty easy.
Mm-hmm.
I never found that. Once I learned it, I was like, oh, I was so scared to do this myself. It's really not that hard. It's
Yeah.
someone just balancing things that you do personally in your bank. It's not. But I was worried about it, and I didn't believe I could do it. But that was my own problem. Once I did, I was like, oh, I got this. And now I've been running my own business now without a partner. He's been gone now for I don't know how long now, 8 years maybe. That I've been doing it all on my own. I'm like, yeah, this is pretty straightforward. But my former partners made it sound more complicated than it was. So really what it is you have to just believe that you can handle it yourself and not listen to other people. Because there's
Yeah.
a reason why he wanted me to think it's more complicated than it is. Because he was trying to be controlling on that side of things
Yes.
and keep
Yeah.
me more in the dark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Usually people like that. They like to create a lot of chaos to keep people
Yes.
confused and,
Yeah, that's 100% what it was. Yeah.
yeah. Well, so how did the gym end up growing into New England's the strongest gym in New England? So there's a hashtag for that.
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of people don't like that I post that. So the reason I came up with that was I was watching, I don't know if you know who Mark Bell is. Mark Bell has a company called Slingshot, the slingshot you wear for bench pressing to power. We have a few of them at the gym, but he used to do these videos on Instagram, YouTube about training, and he had a gym called I think he calls it the Super Gym. He's in California, and he'd always say in his videos, "I'm here at the Super Gym, the strongest gym in the West." And I always liked the sound of that. And I was like, "Oh, I got to do something with that." And I was like, "Strongest gym in the East." I was like, "Nah, it's all right." And I was like, "Strongest gym in New England." I was like, "Yes, that's the one." And so I just started hashtagging that and then started putting it on shirts. And I mean, honestly, our members love it and other people love it, but other gym owners not so much. And I'm friends with a lot of other gym owners. And I'm like, listen. Well, one, everyone knows it's true. I'm not just trying to like brag, but like, I mean, everyone knows we have more pro strongmen in our gym than anyone in the country. I'm assuming. I think anyway. Certainly in New England,
Mm-hmm.
we also have the best outfitted gym in New England, if not the country. One of the best in the country. So I stand by that. I don't mean to be overconfident about it, but I mean, I built this gym and I fully believe that is true. But it did ruffle some feathers when I first started saying that.
I love it. I think it's funny.
Mhm. It sells
Uh,
t-shirts. People who visit always want a shirt that says that in the back. And then at certain competitions, I remember Ayla was doing nationals a couple of years ago, and she was announced like training out of Lightning Fitness, the strongest gym in New England, Ayla. And it was like, that just sounds awesome.
it does sound awesome.
Mm.
And I love that I get to go there.
Yeah.
Well, so I know that you're training now for a bodybuilding competition. So what does that prep look like? To me, it seems you have to be so disciplined.
You do. I've always been like that. I didn't find that the transition from strongman to bodybuilding that hard. I know a lot of people have, but I've always eaten like that. And the diet, everyone says the diet's the hardest part of bodybuilding. I actually found strongman more enjoyable, but also much more difficult. So I competed as a middleweight in strongman. I'm a middleweight pro at 231. That's the weight class I competed at. I would weigh 260, 270, and then cut down to 231 over like 8 to 10 weeks.
Oh,
That
wow.
was rough because I'd be losing weight and I'm lifting super heavy. Where bodybuilding, I'm losing weight slowly. I don't have a certain weight cut. I just have to be as lean as possible on stage. So my last show, I was about 238. So I was actually heavier for bodybuilding than I was for strongman. But for bodybuilding, I'm lifting much lighter weights. And the risk of injury is so little doing that kind of training. So I'm lifting lighter loads, controlling the weight. I'm not focusing on moving the weight like I am for strong. That's the difference. Bodybuilding, you focus on controlling the weight. Strongman powerlifting, you focus on just moving the weight. And the risk
Interesting.
of injury is so much higher in those sports, which is actually why I do bodybuilding now. I'm 43 now, and I've had 7 surgeries, all from lifting. So I'm really just kind of tapped out there. It's not that I couldn't keep doing them. I know it would be another surgery waiting to happen, lifting those kind of weights, and I need something to compete in still. So prepping for bodybuilding, yeah, there's more cardio. The diet is super, super strict. I actually enjoy all those things. The changes you see in your body each week is really cool. My problem is actually competing on stage. I am just not excited to be there. I
I
want to
was just
compete.
gonna ask you how
Yeah.
you got over, like, the posing and
Yeah. The posing is probably the hardest part. I took
yeah,
classes for a while. I was driving over an hour every Friday night to another gym in Worcester, Mass, where the guy I knew did a posing class. He was like, "Hey, come down, I'll show you." And it was super awkward. So I go there. It's in a little aerobics room, and there's like 20 people there, guys, girls, and everyone just gets in their underwear. And I'm there. I'm like, "Oh, we just stripped down. Okay." And he calls out a pose, and you just hit the pose and hold it. And he goes to each person and corrects them. It's Mike Ciulia in Compass Fitness in Worcester, Mass. Awesome guy, awesome gym, and it was super helpful. So that's how I learned. After a while, you get used to it. Like, everyone's in their underwear. Who cares? Because
yeah,
when you compete in bodybuilding, you're in your little speedos up there anyway. So
yeah,
everyone just it just becomes normal.
yeah.
But
Well,
that
for
was
men
that
and
was hard to
women,
learn.
there's not a lot that's hidden.
No, no. I mean, that's the point. You're being judged on your body. So
Yeah.
yeah, you get used to that.
Well, I know you've given us some good, like, pieces of information and advice, but if aside from the partner and kind of listening to your own, like, gut, instinct, what would be one piece of advice you'd offer someone who might be looking to start a gym or any business?
Stand by your word. That was one thing
Mm,
I was told a long time ago. Was when you run a business, you're going to have to lie, and I really didn't like that. And this was told by someone who's very successful in business. I mean, she didn't own a gym, but I remember her telling me that. And from me making deals and running competitions, and I've been lied to about things so many times by people who are like, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna do this, and they never do it, and they never have an intention of doing it. It becomes super, super frustrating. Like, if you can't do something, just say it. Just tell me
yeah,
what's going on. Hey, I'm sorry, I
yeah,
can't. Whatever. Not do. Oh yeah, yeah. It's I'm going to. I'm going to. I'm going to. And then hope you just don't. Don't ask anymore. The example of this was we had a powerlifting meet. This was a long time ago. I had someone come in for powerlifting meet. I was warned by a few people this guy was a bit of a scumbag, and that he shorts people money. And I was like, well, I've done his meets. I have a group of people who does his meets. That'd be really stupid of him to do. Well, did a meet, shorted me money, and we didn't have it in writing. That was my fault, I guess. I'm someone, you shake my hand, that is how it's going to be. If for some reason something changes on my part where I can't, I person right away and apologize and make it up to them in some way or form from whatever we dealed on. But it's something, especially with money, I'm always very clear about that. So we make a deal on something, I expect that to be there. If I owe someone money, we make a deal, I pay them right away. Like,
yeah,
I can talk about that in a minute. But when you say something, just do it. My former partner was the king of this. He would tell people that, oh yeah, yeah, I'm going to pay you whatever, and then time would go by, and the people would be calling and calling, asking for the check. And he goes, oh yeah, yeah. He used like, oh, it's in the mail. It was not in the mail. So it just makes you look bad. But then people who were expecting that money, when you need to do business with them again, they're not going to want to do business with you. So the people who ran the meet with me shorted me money, and I let it go. I was like, all right, well, hey, we agreed on this, but you lied to me, fine, whatever. I wasn't someone who's going to make a big deal out of it. But when they wanted to do another meet, because it was a very successful meet, I said no. I was like, I'm
yeah,
not doing business with you ever again. I'm not going to badmouth you, but I'm not going to be associated with someone like that at all, period.
yeah,
So, and anyone who does that to me, anyone who says, yeah, 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 I'm going to do this, I'm like, okay, we're done. I'm going to be very nice about it, but I'm not going to do business with them. And one thing I would like to think with me is that people always know where they stand with me. If they say something to me, they know I'm going to follow through.
yeah,
And you can't make everyone happy. Like, there's people
mhm,
I've made mad at my gym before because they've asked for something. I flat out will say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that. You can't. You have to make certain decisions. Like, if someone wants a piece of equipment that costs a lot of money and only one or two people are going to want it, is it worth you getting? No. But some people don't like that because I bought so much equipment for other people who requested it, but I have to look at the big picture. That's just one example I'm using with equipment. There's a lot of other things with that. Is that you got to learn, can't make everyone happy, but if you're honest with people, they'll at least respect you for that.
yeah. Well, it's your personal brand and it's your reputation, and once that is damaged, it's really hard to recover from that.
Yes.
Um, Speaking of the equipment, a lot of people won't know this, but a lot of this is born out of question. You do Ask Me Anything
Yeah,
on Instagram.
always interesting and fun.
And some of the stuff that's written on those is funny, but a lot of times that is how new equipment, has come into the gym.
Yes, well, I know some people are afraid to talk to me. I know I've had people in the gym
I
or
was going
say
to
that.
bring that up next.
Yeah, they've said it to other people in the gym, like my friends, and like, yeah, I want to talk to Matt and ask him this, but I'm really afraid of him. He's scary looking. It's like I know I'm scary looking, but like if you actually talk to me, I'm very nice, and like I said, I'm happy to help anybody.
Yeah.
I think people want to ask for something they're afraid I'm going to shoot them down. But I'm never going to make anyone feel stupid. Like if they ask me for something that I'm not going to, I have no intention of doing, I'll nicely say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't do that for whatever reason.
Yeah.
But I know people who are afraid of that. But like I said, I try to help everyone, but you can't do that. You can't make everyone happy. But I do try to listen to everyone their requests. But yeah, the anonymous questions, I'm not sure why I thought that was a good idea too, because sometimes they're a complete nightmare. And a lot of times I don't even post the really dumb ones that people ask because they're trying to get a rise out of me.
Yeah, they're
They're not doing
trolling.
it seriously. They'll write something stupid that they're trying to piss me off.
Yeah.
Those ones I just don't even post because they are anonymous, so they may not be a member. People don't realize that we have over 6,000 followers on Instagram, so anyone could be like asking me a question like they're a member and not really be a member. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But every time we do them, I do always learn a few things from people who are afraid to ask me or email me or whatever. They rather be anonymous about requesting something. I'm like, oh, that's actually a really good idea. Or they'll make me aware of a problem that I didn't know of. Maybe there's a problem. Someone's harassing somebody and they don't want to tell me in person, so they do it that way. And then I can
Hmm.
look into it. Because one thing with my rules is let people train, leave them alone, and certainly don't harass anybody. I'm very strict on that, and I've kicked people out for that too. So I like to know those things. If someone's bothering another member, I'm on it right away.
So people, go talk to Matt. The worst thing he can do is say no.
Just not when I'm working out. Just give me my
Now
time.
he's working out. Okay, I have my one last question I'm going to ask. So, what's one lesson the weights have taught you that applies to everyday life?
There's a quote I like from Henry Rollins. It's called "The Weights Never Lie." Basically, it's like he always says, people come and go, people lie to you this now. He says, 200 pounds is always 200 pounds. You always know what to expect when you go to the gym. And I always love that line because it's 100% true. You can always go in the gym and you know exactly what to expect. There's no surprises. You might feel like crap. You might feel great one day. And one thing I was funny about training is, I'm sure you know this too. You go in the gym and you feel like crap. You're tired. You don't want to be there. And you start working out. You feel awesome.
Yeah.
And then there's times you feel great going to the gym and you start working out. You're like, oh man, I'm really weak. I feel like crap right now.
Yeah.
So you can't always go with what your mind says, but you always feel better once you get it done, though, right? But yeah, not the weight. The iron never lies. That's what his quote is. I always
Oh, that's good. That's
yeah.
good.
It's actually on a poster in the back of the gym by the deadlift platforms.
I think anytime anybody's moving their body is a good thing.
Yeah.
There's
You
been
can overdo it. You can overtrain. I've overtrained sometimes because I just love training, so I want to do it all the time. So I actually have a hard time resting, but that's pretty rare because I'm at the gym all the time. Like if I didn't own the gym, I'd probably have no problem taking more rest. But I'm like, well, I'm here almost every day. I might as well work out.
Yeah. Well, Matt, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule. I know how busy you are, and I really appreciate you being on the show. And I'm excited for people just to hear like your background and your story and to learn more about Lightning and how it came to be. People can follow you at Lightning Fitness on Instagram. That's primarily where you're
Lightning
at.
Fitness 860.
Oh, Lightning Fitness
Yeah,
860.
so my friends way back because I was very anti social media like a long time ago, and they were like, "You got to have a Instagram," and I'm like, "I don't got time for that." And then like, let us do it for you. Like, all right, fine. So they actually made the page for me, and we're doing stuff in the gym. That I eventually took it over. So it is me on the Instagram too. Because sometimes people are like, "Hey, I don't know who I'm talking to," blah blah blah. It's like it's me answering everything.
Well, it's one of your greatest marketing tools.
It is. And as you can tell, I'm very open and honest on there. I do not hold back anything.
I know, I love it. Some of the stuff just makes me laugh out loud. I can't help it.
Yeah.
And then you also have a website that's lightningfitness.com.
It's lightning-fitness.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
I will be
We
sure to
just had the
drop links in
website
the notes.
redone and new pictures are up there.
No, it looks great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much.
You are very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Take care.
You too.